Hey guys, I believe this is only going to be the second trigger warning that I offer you, but I'm going to put it out there right now. This episode contains child abuse, molestation, rape, and murder. We don't get into graphic details or really any details of any of this, we just kind of tell the story. But I still thought I'd put the warning at the top for everybody, so there is going to be some graphic material about children covered in this episode. Welcome to episode 17 of the Serial Chillers podcast, brought to you by Beer Savage. I am your host, Jesse, and thank you guys all so much for listening. Today, Alex and Joseph both make a triumphant return to the show. Alex brings us the story of a family brought back together for the worst. Joseph tells us the story of a close brush that a certain celebrity had with a killer. Don't forget to rate and review on iTunes. It helps us get out there and get noticed by people. Also, never forget to use promo code Serial Chillers at beersavage.com for 20% off your entire purchase. And as usual, sit back, relax, and enjoy episode 17 of the Serial Chillers podcast. Welcome to episode 17 of the Serial Chillers podcast, brought to you by Beer Savage. Today I'm here with two serial chillers in studio. Both returning serial chillers. I believe both third appearance, right?
Yes.
Yes. Look at that, man. You guys are seasoned vets.
Was that the first question?
We've got Alex to my right, Joseph straight ahead. What's up, guys?
What's up, dude?
Woo!
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here. Your part is way harder. You guys want to throw out those Instagram, social media? What do you guys want to plug today?
Well, all I have is Instagram and Twitter, and it is JXZXPH.
It's like Joseph, but cooler.
Joseph, but cooler.
Sick.
Original fans know.
All I have is Instagram, and check me out on the Instagram. I take pictures, Mocha like the drink, and Freeman like Morgan Freeman.
It's so easy, yet so catchy. God damn it, anyway. All right. Well, again, thank you guys for being here. Super stoked. Here's how the show works. You guys know, but I'm going to tell everybody just in case there's a first timer. Each week I sit down with old friends, new friends, good friends, and bad friends to tell a story of an infamous serial killer. Throughout the show, you guys will chime in and have stories that are true crime, dark, creepy, unsolved, or otherwise mysterious. Here's how the game works. There will be several questions throughout the episode that will be worth somewhere between 250 and 1,000. I think there might even be a 2,000 today.
Sick.
Most will be multiple choice. Some you will have to stab at. All questions are able to be stabbed at for bonus points, but if you take a stab, that's your only guess. Some questions will only allow one of you to score points. We'll use the dry erase boards to see if we can't find a winner here tonight. Tonight's winner is going to go home with a Beer Savage little drinking package. So you're going to get a koozie, the Wizard staff, so you can fill it with... for Joseph, energy drinks, and Alex is welcome to fill his with beer. So,
Hey, I can fill it with what I want.
yeah, once you're out of here, buddy, we've got responsibilities here at the Serial Chillers podcast. So, lastly, if you have any questions about the questions, make sure to ask your questions because I cannot answer questions about questions if you never asked questions. Any questions?
Let's do it.
Fuck yeah. Welcome to and let's play the Serial Chillers podcast. That's it. That's it, guys. Today's serial killer, you guys. I had heard of him. I knew nothing about him. Let's see what you know about Westley Allan Dodd. Anything. Ring a bell. Beautiful. That's usually what I'm shooting for.
I'm a good guess then.
We go to Westley Allan Dodd's early life, and you guys have both been on the show plenty of times. You know that right now is question number 1. In what year was Westley Allan Dodd born? This is going to be one of those questions. Only one of you is going to score. Closest to the year gets 250 points. What year is Westley Allan Dodd born?
Can we only stab at this?
That's it.
Okay.
No multiple choice on this guy. Closest to the year. What you got, Joseph?
Do you want me to show you or say it?
Yeah,
out
he's
loud?
written his. You can show me.
I got 1987.
All right. That's what I got.
69. Wesley Allan Dodd was born July 3rd, 1961. Alex is going to get 250 points. Congratulations. 250 to nothing for Alex. Say who what?
Yeah, the 60s were a weird decade, so.
You
I went
figured
for
the
a
name
modern
Wesley Allan could have come from that atrocity.
For
I
sure.
don't think you were far off with the 80s. That sounded like a very late 80s
I just went
name.
for a modern killer.
Would that be considered a modern killer?
I'm
80s?
I don't know,
I'm
in the
30.
80s, he's
It's about peaking time too. Yeah, that'd be
Okay.
if now or when he was killing. So
sure. I guess that was a dumb guess.
no,
That was a good guess.
there's no dumb guesses on the Serial Chillers podcast. Okay, so moving on, Alex up 250 to nothing. Very early, I believe there are 12 or 13 questions tonight,
Cool.
so plenty of
Oh,
time.
I got this.
July 3rd, 1961, Wesley Allan Dodd is born in Toppenish, Washington, to Jim and Carol Dodd, and would be the oldest of 3 children. In June of the next year, he's only 11 months old when his younger brother is born. And right when he is born, they began bathing together and sleeping together, and would continue to bathe together until they were 7 years old, or he was 7 years old. And they slept in the same bed until Wesley was 10. Dodd denies any sexual contact with his brother, and that might seem weird and out of context that I just throw that out at the end. Just stick with me here.
Okay.
So, when Wesley is 3, his sister is born, and the only memory he has of her being a baby was his mom breastfeeding her.
That's a weird thing to remember.
It's the one thing I remember her being a baby because I remember her feeding on my mom.
That's so weird.
When he was 4, Wesley stated that when he was in the hospital to have his tonsils removed, he was embarrassed after wetting his pants when his mom was getting him ready for surgery. So he's getting ready for surgery, and like he was afraid to tell them he can get out of bed, or he needed to get out of bed, and so he just
peed himself.
beat the bed, and it was like a really traumatizing experience for him, because then like nurses had to come in and the doctor came in and they had to like clean him up before he went into surgery, and it was
like super embarrassing.
it was a very embarrassing thing for him. So let's cut forward a couple years. He's 8 years old now in 1970, and while at his 8-year-old cousin's house, he and his cousins sexually experimented by touching their penises together. Boop.
Sword fight.
Bridge.
Yeah.
Sword fight.
Seemed like just
Bridge.
they're just, trying to figure things out, I guess. The next year, Wesley's mom made him change his pants 2 times in front of his aunts. And for whatever reason, and it doesn't, from what I could find, didn't seem like this was some weird, overtly sexualized thing. It was like he got dirty before a function and needed to change his pants, and he went out and got dirty again. So they changed your pants again. And, he's already kind of had some embarrassing experiences in his life. So this became another one that sort of got to him and affected him, and he remembered it very clearly. He even states, quote, "I felt a lot of embarrassment from that." 1971, he's 10 years old, and he was first rejected by a girl when he pulled down his pants in front of his 6-year-old neighbor, and she refused to look at him. So that was his idea of a move at 10. He was like, all right, what do? Do you walk up? Hello. No, that's not going to work. What if I just walk up and, yeah, you know what? Drop your pants. Yeah,
I think I'm gonna pull my pants down.
Let it do all the talking.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. If she stays, she's a keeper.
Mhm.
Oh my God. 10 years old. That's perfect. So
That's super funny.
Bold boy.
Dodd later stated to police in letters that he believes this is the moment that he began preferring boys over girls. So he's 10 years old, and he was rejected super hard by a 6-year-old. And he was like, fuck that. I'm going for boys now. The next year, he's 11 years old, and Wesley began realizing that he had different interests from other children his age. while he began searching for pictures of nude beaches so he could see the naked people on the beach. So he's, looking for, non-porn lingerie magazines and books with pictures of nude beaches and, weird. He's 11 years old.
Yeah.
He does have different interests from the other children. At no point does it get better either. This is like, Joseph already looks a little sick over there. It's perfect.
This is a strange origin story.
I was just wondering why like his dad didn't have anything chilling around.
Yeah, maybe he did, and he didn't want to, get caught.
Wiener.
Yeah, wiener.
He was bold as a 10-year-old. What happened to that?
Wiener.
Just wait, he's gonna stay bold. When he's 12 years old, he is at school at Chief Joseph Junior High. He began getting picked on by his peers. He stated that his peers began realizing his interest in boys when essentially like one of the more popular boys at school went up to him and like made him seem like it was a secret and was like, hey, like, do you want to take a shower with me? And Wesley was like, yeah, I kind of do. And the kid was like, hey guys, this gay kid right here wants to take a shower with me. And yeah, exactly. Kind of threw him out under the bus.
That sucks.
Yeah, so wasn't looking good for him. Later that year, Wesley's friend would describe him as his stepdad. Wesley's stepdad used a catheter, right? And he became like super fascinated by it for whatever reason. Probably because it involved a penis. Like, let's be real here. But he gets very into it. And, like, this is something so big that his friends later, after he became a serial killer, were like, yeah, and he was really into his stepdad's
They'd, like, bring
catheter.
it up.
Question number 2. How would Wesley begin to experiment after finding that he was very interested in his stepdad's catheter? You can stab for 1,000. Very broad. I have some multiple choice here.
I'm going to go with multiple choice.
A, he started saving his urine in a bag. B, he started using a pretend catheter. C, he stuck needles up his urethra, the Albert Fish. D, he just sort of snuck around and watched people pee.
Can you say A one more time?
He started saving his urine in a bag.
And then what was B?
He started using a pretend catheter.
And then C was the needles.
Needles in the Albert Fish.
I don't really know. Okay.
Got it?
Yep.
What you got? You guys both go with A. He started saving his urine in a bag. Both incorrect.
Oh, darn.
Later, Wesley Allan Dodd would begin experimenting with his body and would put straight pins and the filler of ink pens into his penis.
Oh, no.
So, who knows? Alex could have been inspired by old creepo Albert Fish, who I think I was on. Were you on that episode as well?
We were both on that episode.
You guys were both on Albert Fish together. I was hoping you guys would stab just for the nostalgia. Neither of you do. That's quite all right.
Seemed too like easy. I don't know.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was like too much. I was like, he's a little kid though, right?
Hey man, I'm 17 episodes deep. I'm getting great at writing these questions.
That's
You know
true.
what I'm saying?
Let's bring on the needles.
All right. So Alex continues his 250-0 quest. Later, he's 13 years old, 1975. Wesley started flashing young children. He said it was because he started puberty and was not educated about sex. He started out by standing naked in his bedroom while children passed by on their way to and from school, but soon learned that this might get him in trouble. Essentially, he'd stand up in the windowsill with the blinds right here. Exactly. Superman pose, full naked, like flop it around a little. Check this out, little kids.
No, I had a friend one time who his neighbors wrote the parents telling him to stop like opening the blinds when he was in the morning. He wasn't doing it to that extent, but he just didn't know.
Right.
It's like
So
chat roulette before chat roulette.
He just got to stretch it out.
He's doing morning yoga.
So he was doing it he'd just stand up there until all the kids had walked by, like
Oh,
a
Route
real...
24 is here.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah, it's scheduled.
So gross, bro. So gross. So, he decided that would get him in trouble. So he starts going out in the neighborhood. He chose to flash boys because he, quote, boys didn't report me as often as girls, end quote. During 2 months, he had exposed himself to over 40 children. Dodd stated that his unhappiness stemmed from his parents' constant bickering and their lack of emotional support. So it could be as simple as that. That sounds like harsh, but really break it down. Like what, most parents bicker, like whether, they involve their kids in it or keep it away from their kids. Like even when you go into a room, your kids can hear you bicker from outside the door. And lack of emotional support, like that could be a total accidental thing. Or as a parent, you might totally be thinking you're giving 110 to the emotional support, and and the kids like this, you don't even support me.
Yeah.
So it's
Is he still in puberty at this time?
So at this point he is 13 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's going in.
He is going in. Dodd stated that just read that. So the police came to Dodd's house after a report of him exposing himself to children, but he was not punished. Because of his fear of getting caught, Dodd began masturbating on a daily basis and experimenting with his genitals. He would put the band of his watch around his genitals, squeezing his testicles through, and attach a cord where the watch would have been. He would then attach weights to the cord to see how much weight his genitals could hold. Question number 3. How much weight could his genitals... No, I'm just kidding.
It's like the world's strongest penis.
Take a big one. 40 pounds.
So he's 14 here at the time. His father, Jim Dodd, knew about Wesley's sexual deviance, though through father-son talks, but avoided talking with him about it or authorities. So his dad was a puss, bitch. I wish I could punch him in his
didn't even
face.
say anything.
He knew too. He's saying like I fucking knew. Like I didn't do anything about it. Yeah, you fuckface Jim Dodd. God damn it. Anyway,
Jim Dodd.
Question number 3, for real. In the fall of 1975, he's 14 years old, and he would have his first sexual experimentation with his sister's friend. How old was his sister's friend? Just take a stab at it. 250 points to the closest person. It's a morbid question, and I want to get past it, sooner than later.
Okay. You said he was how old?
At this point, he's 14.
Okay.
So, Alex says 9. Joseph said 11. This is the first time this has happened. There are no Price is Right rules unless you guys split the difference, which it was 10.
Ooh.
So, due to the Price is Right rules, Alex gets the points on this one. She was 10 years old. I was like, oh man, I'm about to write Joseph's points in, and then Alex puts 9 up there.
Well, I was trying to do the math though, because I remember you said that
3.
his little sister was.
This is one of the very first questions I've ever written that was really like, hey, if you kind of listened a little bit in the past. So, hey, nice sticking in there. Hey, good job, guys. So, the points are for Alex. Sorry, because the Price is Right rules when you split the difference. And
that's pretty good. I'm pumped.
You're up 500-0, Alex. Congratulations.
I'm pumped.
I would be pumped too.
I'm great.
Plenty of time. The big questions haven't even come yet. They've yet to begin.
Yeah, I'm giving you the easy one.
Just like, I swear I'm a good student, Mom.
Later in that same year, fall of 1975, he's still 14. He sneaks into his sister's bedroom, who is also 10, while she was sleeping, and placed her hand on his penis. He then pulled down her pants and planned to have sex with her, but when she woke, she pushed him away. Nothing was ever told of the event. She didn't even tell her parents. It was just like she didn't realize really what was happening at 10,
and it was just weird.
And later he was like, yeah, I was gonna rape my sister that night.
Wow. That was like something he announced when he was like older.
Yeah, like once he got, we'll talk about it a little more. Once he got arrested, like a lot of serial killers,
stuff was just coming out.
He's an open book.
Yeah, this is just a lot of so far just sexual confusion and then acting on it. And it's just
like very irrationally acting on it as well, which is unfortunate for everybody involved, really.
Yeah.
Later that year, this is the year where he starts to begin to describe himself as socially isolated and intimidated by girls and women. which are some of the first symptoms of pedophilia. So he's beginning to sort of come into his own, essentially, at this point. So very late in the year, November 75, he's still 14. He plays tug of war with his 8-year-old cousin. But this is no traditional tug of war match. This tug of war match is 2 penises with a string tied to them.
No.
He's been training for this moment with the weights.
Right.
Penis Olympics.
He's not losing.
Sadly, the next move after tug of war was that he had anal sex with his 8-year-old cousin.
No.
Later that day, he molested his female 8-year-old cousin in a closet. Later, again that day, that 8-year-old female's younger 6-year-old brother was also molested by Wesley Allan Dodd. Right. So, December through January of 75 and 76, he's still 14. He gets a bicycle for Christmas. This is going to be multiple choice only. What did he do with this new bike? Did he A, create a hidden creepy fort in the forest? B, ride around and expose himself to whoever he could? C, start trying to befriend much younger boys? Or D, he just rode? Does anyone hear him again?
No,
Got him?
I think I'm good too.
What you got? All right. You guys both said C. Great minds think alike and get questions wrong. It was B. He rides around and exposes himself to whoever he can.
Once again, I thought that was too easy.
Yeah, that's the idea. I told you, I'm getting good at this, brother. Wesley gets the bicycle for Christmas and begins flashing himself anywhere he can around town. And he has at least 10 reported victims at this time. We're in January of 76 now, and he begins letting his dog lick his anus because he stated that he enjoyed it.
So he's 15 right now?
He hasn't turned 15 this year. He will later in the year. But yeah, he's in his 15th year. So he thinks that the only way to get his dog likes that there's like some shit in there. So
peanut butter.
Yeah.
That's what he did. With peanut butter.
So he thinks that it's like, you know, it's his ass. He needs poop. So in order to get his dog to lick his penis, he would rub his own feces all over it.
Ew.
After his dog bites him, he decided he would wipe the feces on his stomach and genitals and thighs and would masturbate while the dog licked him before showering. So that's his new routine. Isn't that good, you guys? Just smear some of your shit on you, let your dog lick you all over while you jerk it, and then jump into the shower.
This is the worst serial killer you've talked about on the show.
I know, and I apologize.
You know,
someone's got to tell the story, you know, and I sadly this time it had to be me. Hopefully I don't lose listeners over this one. In May of 76, he's still 14 when his parents' bickering finally leads to a head and they get divorced. In August, he's finally 15 and he gets tired of exposing himself and stated that he needed physical contact in order to fulfill his wish and dreams for physical contact. He went to Sacagawea Elementary School and found 3 boys and 3 girls ages 7 through 10 who were tricked into playing a, quote, guessing game with Wesley in which he would put his penis in each of the children's hands and ask them, what's in there? Their eyes were closed and they had to guess what he put in their hands. He later played this game that day with 3 additional children, 9 in total. March 10th, 1977, Dodd was arrested for exposing himself to 2 girls ages 8 and 10. Question number 5, what was his punishment? You can stab if you'd like. It's going to be very specific, so don't stab unless you want that. I have multiple choice for you. You guys both want the multiple choice?
Oh, I want the multiple.
Yeah, I think
Is it A, 2 years in prison, B, 1 year probation, C, 6 months in prison, or D, recommended counseling? Couple D's. Great minds again.
Couple D's.
Great minds get it right this time. Congratulations,
Hey,
250 to
win.
both of you. Unfortunately for Joseph, that doesn't get you any closer to catching up to Alex, but you are on the board for the first time today.
Yeah, boy.
Alex up 750 to 250. Wesley Allan Dodd was recommended counseling instead of putting him into any time or even probation. Over the years, Dodd would occasionally attend the counseling, but not much. He stated that he was not afraid of the law because he had molested and exposed himself to so many people before he even got caught. And when he finally did get caught,
It was just counseling.
so at this point, he's feeling like...
I feel like it's been a lot of kids
He's
by this
No,
point.
they should see like some type of.
I think that he's only truly molested. I shouldn't say only. It's awful. One is too many, but
Yeah. Or like in some way sexually assaulted.
right. I think it's like, it's 5 or 6 at this point.
Really?
And he's exposed himself to
It's been a bunch.
70.
Yeah, who knows-
he's
who knows
whipped
how
it out,
many.
and there might be more kids that we know.
That's
he
gotta
seemed
be, like,
to-
lasting damage though. Even the flash.
100%. He seemed to really relish in telling the stories, though. So anyway,
He liked getting the.
yeah, he probably really did. In 1977, he's 16 years old, and he was asked to fill in for a neighbor's usual babysitter and molested their 2 sons, ages 1 and 4,
Nope.
and their 3-year-old daughter as they slept.
No, sir. Do not like it.
Later that year, he began to masturbate in the Columbia High School auditorium, but he was never caught. He was very proud that he would leave his mess and never get caught. Later that year in October, Wesley Allan Dodd went on his first date with a girl and later stated that it was one of the worst evenings of his life and denies any sexual contact with the girl. It's one of the worst nights of my life. I went on a date with a woman. In December of that year, he began to molest the 3-year-old daughter of his dad's girlfriend. So his dad got a new girlfriend, and he's escalating 100% now. It's no longer he cares not to show his penis to anybody.
I feel like he doesn't even care anymore at this point.
He doesn't. He said like
Getting sloppy.
Yeah, getting sloppy. It's the Ted Bundy quote about forgetting where you put the tire iron.
Yep.
Right. Sick son of a bitch too. February 17th, 1979, Wesley began running around his block nude. I don't mean like once, like that became like kind of the regular for him. He'd like became a nude
jogging in the
jogger.
morning.
Yeah. Yep. In spring of 79, he's 17 years old, and he begins molesting his 10-year-old stepbrother. So initially it was the 3-year-old who, you could probably get to not talk, but now he's bold again, and he's going for the 10-year-old. In July of 79, he's 18 years old, and he gets his first job. You guys can stab for 2,000 points or go for the multiple choice. What job did Wesley Allan Dodd get for the summer of his 18th year? You guys stabbing over there?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Alex, you're welcome to take the multiple choice. You have a comfortable lead.
I think I'm gonna go for multiple choice.
He's gonna wait it out. Let me see what you got before.
I wrote it kind of sloppy.
Ooh. That's a horrible. I mean, it's by
see
horrible.
why.
I mean, yeah. Is it A, paperboy, B, camp counselor, C, janitor, or D, mechanic's assistant?
Well, I'm wrong.
Can I hear them one more time?
Sorry, Joseph. Paperboy, camp counselor, janitor, mechanic's assistant. Joseph, unfortunately, will be getting no points on this one. Alex is going to answer D, mechanic's assistant. Nobody will be scoring points on this one.
Sorry.
At 18, Wesley Allan Dodd was working at a Christian music camp as a camp counselor where he played strip poker with 7 boys over the summer, ages 9 to 10.
I guessed babysitter.
This guy's a real
I was-
fuckbase. Oh, yeah, that
thought you
is.
were
Joseph
gonna
said
put, like-
babysitter. Sorry.
Like grocery, like bag boy. That's what I thought you were gonna put. I don't know why.
No. He didn't put that though.
I thought you were.
He didn't do it. He wasn't ready.
The profession he was leading towards.
Okay. All right, guys. So we've got 750 to 250 still after 6 questions. He was working at the Christian music camp. While at camp, he also kissed his first girl. Ooh. He only kissed her one time and avoided her for the rest of the summer because he felt that she was going to be too experienced for him.
Oh, man. I was rooting for you, buddy.
This guy's intimidated.
Why are you rooting for
quite
him?
a bit.
He already did.
But just like
You're
maybe,
on his side?
maybe it could get better.
You never know if you could change it, dude. You go, girl. In August of '79, camp's over, and he encounters a young boy who is fishing alone in a wooded area. Seems like a very pedophile-y thing to do. Like, hey, I wonder if kids will be alone. He asked the boy if he wanted to see something, quote, really neat. And once they were alone, he demanded the boy undress. But they were interrupted by another group of kids before Dodd was able to molest him. Close call. In September, Dodd found an empty house in an isolated area 1 block from the Sacagawea Elementary School. He would take small boys to this house and play strip poker with them. In November of '79, Dodd realized that his only interest was boys and girls under the age of 10 after a girl who was a year younger than him asked him out on a date and he refused to go. He said he felt sickened by it.
So she was 10 and he was how old?
No, he's 18. She was 17.
Oh.
Yeah.
She was a year younger.
Year younger, and he felt sickened by it. He wants someone 10 or under.
Oh, okay. I see
Just
what you said.
gay, dude.
So that's where we're going to take a little break, and we're going to come back with Alex's story. I hope you're not too fucked up to tell it. And I don't mean because you've been drinking, because you've been having to listen about Wesley Allan Dodd.
Thirsty? Crack open a cold one and visit beersavage.com. Beer Savage is a lifestyle beer movement that enhances the beer experience through accessories and apparel. Visit beersavage.com now and use offer code SerialChillers and receive 20% off your entire purchase. beersavage.com. Good things stumble upon those who channel their inner beer savage.
All right, well, welcome back to the Serial Chillers podcast. I don't want to take too much time here. Alex has brought us a story fresh off the presses, essentially. He and I kind of discovered the story together, and it's very awful. So go ahead, Alex, man. Just take it away. You're a veteran.
All right, let's do it. So like Jesse said, the story is pretty brand new. So today is what? The 29th. 29th. This actually
29th.
happened on the 21st of August, so about a week and a half ago.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wait,
so
wow.
about
I did not so when we found it, it was only just like
it was like
2 days old.
Yeah, so it's
I did not realize
pretty
it was,
crazy.
Wow, okay.
So because of that, there's like not too much about this. Like it's still the story's still under development, but we'll go ahead and go right into it.
Your next visit has to just be the update of the story.
I'm down. Okay, so let's go for it. So Rebecca Rudd, a 39-year-old truck driver and volunteer firefighter, was charged with the first-degree murder of her daughter Savannah Leckie, who she gave up for adoption in 2001. Okay, so kind of going back a little bit, this starts with Savannah being given up for adoption by her mom in 2001, and she was raised by like 2 pretty normal, like loving parents. But like life goes on, things kind of got harder for the family, and as that happened, they actually divorced, and raising Savannah got tough as well. So they ended up divorcing like late 2016, and Savannah was having trouble getting along with her mom's new boyfriend and wanted to live with her real mom, Rebecca, who they've kind of like kept in contact with each other over the years.
So essentially a situation with adoptive mom goes south. Mm-hmm. She's still in touch with her birth mom.
Exactly.
Her birth mom.
Yeah, it seems
she's a volunteer firefighter.
Exactly.
She's got a solid job truck driving.
She's got her life together.
Going well, yeah.
Exactly. So she like talked about it with her adoptive mom, and being that like her real mom Rebecca lived on like a farm. She was like Jesse said, she was like a firefighter. She was a truck driver. Like she seemed like everything was kind of together. everybody just thought it'd be a really good idea for Savannah to move out there. It'd be like just healthy. So she ended up moving out there, and everybody was really excited. And one strange thing that people kind of thought, Rebecca constantly like kept people updated on like the status of their new lives, like on Facebook. So she'd be like, "Oh, we're doing this today," or we're out doing that. So
as a normal teen would.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
that's not that out of it.
Well, no, it was like the mom. The mom was constantly like,
the mom.
Yeah.
I
the
thought
mom. No,
okay,
she was like
my bad.
constantly updating everybody on their family.
It seemed as if maybe she was covering her tracks a little too well.
Yeah, it was really weird. But so she would like say things like, "Oh, we want to start a soap business together," or like, "We're doing this," and it.
Just watch Fight Club last night.
I was gonna say Fight Club.
Yeah. But as it turns out, life for them really wasn't as perfect as she was making it seem to be on Facebook and like on the internet. So it turns out
people do that.
Everyone does that. But Savannah was she was homeschooled. She didn't really have any outside contact with any other kids her age, and she was living in really poor living conditions. Like it turns out they didn't even like live in a house on the farm. They ended up living in a barn that was on the farm, but it was like really bootlegged, and it was not safe living conditions.
It wasn't what it was all chopped out to be.
Nope. So it turns out Rebecca got kind of annoyed with her real daughters, like just having her around. She felt like she was kind of like a hassle, and that like she just wasn't adapting to life on the farm, so it was like annoying her. So that was kind of found out. She ended up writing a letter to to Savannah's adoptive parents saying like, like either we're gonna have to figure something out, or like I'm gonna need more help with her. Like, so stuff was just not going that good for them.
Right. Hook it up with a little bit of money here. Help me out. Like I can't do this.
Exactly. So real mom's kind of freaking out with her daughter being there. So on July 18th, Rebecca reported a fire burning on a hill close to their house, and she called the fire department, and firefighters came, put out the fire, and when they put it out, they went to the house looking to just get some water to drink, and Rebecca refused to let them inside the house, saying that Savannah burned herself in the fire and that she needs to rest and that we can't go in and bother her. So that was like a red flag to the firefighters. Like,
who else better prepared to help somebody who's just been burned than us?
Yeah, and
dumb.
Savannah refused. But 2 days later, after that fire, Rebecca called the police department reporting that Savannah went missing. So, it's not really making that much sense.
Right.
So police began to like look into it, and at that time too, Rebecca, the mom, ended up taking their daughter's laptop to the police station, thinking that like, oh, maybe you can search it for clues, but they were just like, this is weird. Like, they just got a bad feeling about it.
Right.
But so police, like I said, police began to search, and around that time, one of Rebecca's ex-boyfriends came forward saying that he had seen her daughter Savannah crawling in hog pens before and bathing in ponds at the farm. So she was like trying to fend for herself. Obviously, like it was just not safe living conditions for this child.
She's like a feral kid by now.
Exactly.
But she's like 16.
Yeah,
though,
she's
right?
16.
Yeah,
she's 16
wow.
when this is going on. And
she has a boyfriend? Why didn't she just like go off with him? I don't know. It seems like
that's the mom's,
the real mom's boyfriend.
the mom's
the
ex-boyfriend.
Oh, I thought
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, no.
I'm
It's,
a little brain dead.
no, that's the mom's ex-boyfriend. But he also said, along with seeing her like bathing in ponds at the farm, that once he had witnessed Savannah putting salt and alcohol on cuts that Rebecca would have to punish her. So open wounds, she would just be rubbing salt and rubbing alcohol in it.
That's awful.
Yeah, so it was just rough. But on August 4th, police arrived to the farm with police dogs and a warrant to search the farm. And at this time, the farm was like night and day from the time that they had come before. Everything was like padded up. Everything was locked. It almost seemed like the mom, Rebecca, knew that police were coming.
Yeah, it was inevitable. Let's just make it as hard as it can get.
Exactly.
Right
and at that time, Rebecca and her current boyfriend, they found out that they had run away together, drove 100 miles to Summersville, Missouri to go get hitched together. So at this time, like, it's just kind of all falling apart. So police ended up searching the property and found the burned chemical remains of basically the little girl, Savannah, underneath a pile of leaves outside the farm. So, I mean, yeah.
Rough.
Yeah, so this is still kind of under investigation. They're trying to, like, tie everything together. But as of right now, the mom, Rebecca, is charged with the first-degree murder and second degree of her daughter, along with abuse of a child, along with tampering of evidence, and abandoning a corpse.
Like, sort of to Joseph's point, like, tell her to kick rocks. Like, look, you're not fucking welcome here. She probably would have been better off, like, literally thumbing down the road, trying to get a ride than
exactly
getting murdered because she was annoying.
It kind of sucks, kind of a bummer, but it's kind of cool to kind of see a story like this be so current.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, I'm pretty impressed at the information that you just had for a murder that took place 8 days ago.
Yeah, that's kind of insane.
It's pretty. I mean, it's not a cool story, but it's kind of kind of a cool story.
Well, man, if anything crazy pops up between now and the time we air this, I'll throw it in. But
Sick.
I mean, you covered that. Yeah, hey,
a little mocha
yeah,
points.
Thank you.
Great job, man. 0 points award. So that's the thing about this show is we try to present it in a way that sometimes we could be lied about. I actually have a friend, Kendall, who told me you gotta be like more like you on the show, and I'm like, I'm me on the show. And she's like, no, you're normally like you're like more happy, and I'm like, oh, hi, we're just like talking about like murderers and death. So we try to be as light as we can and try to respect the victims, and again, I've said this in many episodes. Anything we do say is definitely lighthearted, and if it's taken the wrong way, let us know, because if we say something out of line, anybody, anytime, we want to know, and we want to never say it again. So, with all that being said, let's talk about child molester Wesley Allan Dodd. We're gonna skip a year forward from where we were. If we remember, he is realizing now that his interest is only in the 10-year-old boys and girls and under. The next summer, in July of 1980, Wesley Allan Dodd goes back to the Christian music camp and get a little more brash this time, and instead of the strip poker, would shower with 3 of the boys from his cabin that he was in charge of. In October of 1980, he attempted to abduct 2 girls ages 11 and 7, but they reported him to the police. He admitted to wanting to molest them and having to plan to take them to an isolated area at the river, but was never incarcerated for this intention. September of 81, he's now 20. He enlists in the U.S. Navy. Wesley Allan Dodd stated that, quote, "If I hadn't joined the Navy, then I may have been killing within a year." And this is 81. So question number 7, you guys. Because of his ASVAB test scores, where did Dodd land in the Navy? You can stab if you'd like. Think of Navy jobs there are. But that's going to be for 1,250 for the multiple choice. It's 750 Alex, 250 Joseph. Multiple choices?
Yeah, I think so.
Did he get submarine duty? Was he a cook? Did he become a janitor or a nurse?
I can remember the letter.
Great minds again. Janitor are both the guesses. And again, incorrect. Because of his high entry test scores, he was placed on submarine duty.
I didn't mean to slam.
It's okay. He went to basic training in San Diego, California, and graduated in the top 10% of his class. How about that? So after
I didn't know his
7 questions. Stature. Yeah, who knew?
What'd you say?
I didn't know his physical stature.
Oh, you got to guess. That's all. Wesley Allan Dodd. So after 7, we've got 750 to 250 still. Okay, Alex, you feeling good, man? I think
Feeling
we've got
great.
like 5 questions left. It's still very much within striking distance. So he goes to basic training again in San Diego, graduates top 10% of his class. In 81, he's 20 now, and while stationed at a submarine base in Bangor, Washington, he preyed on children living on the base. So essentially other military people's children.
Like the military family.
He just did whatever he could. Yes, exactly. There's not a lot of details. He just said that he did whatever he could, whenever he could there. While stationed in the same place, he would take trips to Seattle where he would molest children in the bathroom of a movie theater as often as he could. He began offering money to children in exchange for them to take their pants down. He discovered that the arcade was a great place to find children who wanted money, so he could give quarters for his demands.
It's weird.
Yeah. In May of 82, he's still 20, and he was arrested after offering to pay a few boys money each to go into a motel and play strip poker with him. Question number 8. How much money did he offer them to come and play strip poker? This one is closest gets $250. Same rules as before. How much money is he offering these boys each to play strip poker in a motel with him? Joseph says 15. Alex says 20. Wesley Allan Dodd, big spender, offering $50 if you'd like to come play strip poker with him. He confessed to the police that he planned to molest the children, but his charges were dropped for unknown reasons. So Alex scores another $250 there.
I'm getting demolished right now.
It's not over, bro. Joseph gets 0. It is 1,000 to 250 currently.
This has never happened to me before on the show.
This has never happened to me before, man. I swear. Okay. 1,000 to 250, dude. It's nothing. That's like one stab away from a win. Why you tripping, dog? We got you. So, question number... No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so... In 82, he was arrested and discharged from the Navy for, quote, attempting indecent liberties on a boy. He served 17 days in jail and was ordered to get counseling. You better go get counseling. That's all it takes for Wesley Allan Dodd, yeah.
Do you think crimes like this weren't really taken that seriously back then?
I think that crimes on children have never been taken more seriously than they are now.
Right now, yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't alive in 84, but yeah, I don't think so. There was no Amber Alert system in 1984. There was no John Walsh wasn't on the scene quite yet. You know, I don't think so. I mean, I don't think that they were
as big as they are now.
Yeah, I don't think that they were not taken as seriously as much as they were just like not as much of a thing, and maybe they were a little less ill prepared to. I don't know. It's really bad. Yeah. On August 1st of 84 through December, while he's 23 years old, he was convicted in Idaho for molesting a 13-year-old boy, but only served 4 months. So that's it, the August to December. It was a 10-year sentence. So he's gotten away with a lot of shit. He finally gets popped, gets given a 10-year sentence in 84. That would have kept him in prison until 94. Gets off with a 4-month time served.
That's nothing.
Yeah.
That's like
it's a vacation, dude.
Yeah.
He's basically like just served from all the things he's done. He hasn't had to like do any type of anything.
Right.
He's just getting let off.
And go back to what we were talking about in the beginning where it was only 1 or 2 situations. He's deep in the game and pretty much still nothing. He's done 4 months in prison and been like, hey, listen, fuckface, get some counseling and you can't be in the Navy anymore. Yeah. And from what I understand, may not have even been dishonorably discharged. I could not find, but may have just been discharged. Fucker. So in August of 85, he's been out of prison for a little over a year now. He took a coworker's 7-year-old son on a fishing trip for his birthday where he was sexually abused. So it doesn't stop. Literally, anytime he gets access to children, he is going to be playing strip poker, or taking a shower, or molesting, or telling them to take their clothes off, or you're fine. He's going to be doing something that you just want to stab his goddamn stupid face for.
Yeah.
Piece of shit. In August of 85, he is 24 years old. Little rando question. Stab only for 2,000 points.
Here we go.
This kid tie us up, dude.
He's 24 years old. It's 1985.
Or like you could pass me.
What is Wesley Allan Dodd's current occupation? 1985, 24. That's why it's worth so many. There's so many occupations it could be. I'll take a little bit of vague on this too. We'll see what it goes with, but
Could be anything. He could be anything.
oh, he could be anything. He could be anything. Take your time. I can edit this down a little if you guys want to think about it.
You said 80.
It's 85, and he is 24 years old. Okay, Joseph said he's a manager at a food place. Alex said movie theater. For goddamn once, you guys guess something different. Jesus. And neither of you is right. In August of 85, at 24 years old, Wesley Allan Dodd is working at a door-to-door vacuum cleaner company.
There's no way that somebody was going to guess that.
If you would have said like door-to-door salesman, or like if you would have said even salesman, I might have said be more specific.
Yeah. Sales box wine.
So while he's doing this, essentially he goes to a door where there's a boy home and no parents, and he goes inside and molests another boy. He molested his neighbors, 2- and 4-year-old boys on countless occasions, but when the mother discovered what was happening, she did not press any charges, saying that she did not want to traumatize her boys any further. Again, with kind of what Joseph said earlier, like very lasting traumatization. Like imagine that, and then you have to have a trial for it, and I'm not saying that that's not the route I take, but I can perhaps understand why someone would decide not to do that. In August of 86, he is 25 years old. He engaged in sexual intercourse with the 18-month-old son of his coworker. At the time, Dodd was also had his first sexual intercourse with an adult, with his coworker. So he got the mom and the 18-month-old son. He stated that the only way he could have an orgasm was to picture her son while he was having sex with her.
That's his first interaction with a woman.
With a woman and an adult.
An adult woman.
Oh, okay.
It's double whammy for him. And the only way it worked for him is if he imagined her 18-month-old son.
That's gross.
So after this, he moves to Seattle, Washington. Dodd stated that quote, now, when I got to Seattle, I had learned I was less likely to be reported for molestation than for an attempt. I had decided that from now on, I would only be a little more forceful. I would no longer accept no as an answer to my requests, end quote. He began choosing the most vulnerable children, including a roommate's 2-year-old son. The 2-year-old was also partially deaf and could not talk. When the boy resisted, Dodd tied his hands behind his back with a bathrobe strap. After this, Dodd began to fantasize about killing his victims. Quote, the more I thought about it, the more exciting the idea of murder sounded. I planned many ways to kill a boy. Then I started thinking of torture, castration, and even cannibalism, end quote. In 1987, he's 26 years old, and Dodd chose the first child that he would murder. His victim was to be an 8-year-old boy that he met while working as a security guard for a construction site. While trying to trick the child to go home with him, the child stated that he was going to go get some of his toys at home and ended up telling his mom about Dodd, and the police were called. Dodd was arrested, but his sentence was reduced to a gross misdemeanor, and he spent 118 days in jail with 1 year probation. That's right around 4 months, isn't it?
Yeah.
So he served a total of 8 months for one molestation of a 4 and 8-year-old and the attempted kidnapping of an 8-year-old.
I feel like he kind of put the lever up a little bit. I feel like it's getting a little bit more intense.
Yeah, but still, he's like not served anything. Like Martha Stewart served more time than him.
Haha, that is true. In 88, he's 27 years old. He gets back together with an old girlfriend who had brought with her a baby that she claimed was his. After 5 days together in a motel, she got the fuck out of there. Very smart. There's no evidence that he molested that baby. Small victory, silver lining. Yay! Later this year, he moves to Vancouver, Washington. In September of 89, he's 28 years old. He was working as a shipping clerk at Pack Paper when he told his coworkers that he was divorced and his child had recently died of, quote, crib death. Dodd discovered David Douglas Park, located a mile from his new apartment, where he decided was a, quote, good place for a rape and murder or kidnap. Quote, a good hunting ground, end quote. On September 2nd, 1989, on Labor Day weekend, he noticed 3 boys at the park, and they sparked violent fantasies in him. The next day, he wrote in his diary that, quote, if I can get it home, I'll have more time for various types of rape, rather than just one quickie before the murder, end quote. Like most sociopaths, he depersonalized the target victim. So he didn't say, I get him or her home. When I get it home, I can do more rape.
I wonder if that was like easier for him.
Well, look at what he's done. He doesn't have.
Yeah.
Like that
Doesn't seem
guilt.
like he has that much of a conscience.
Yeah, no.
He just.
And 18.
Yeah, that's
like,
not. That's pretty bad.
So, yeah. That's really it. We're gonna take the last break. Come back with Joseph's story after this, and sadly, it doesn't get any better from here.
Sick.
Hey, this is Sarah, Sam, and Casey from Just Another Murder Podcast.
We are 3 Aussie ladies chatting about murder and making funny jokes.
More like bad jokes.
Inappropriate jokes.
Sorry.
Go listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find us on Insta, Twitter, and Facebook. Okay.
Bye.
Catcha.
See ya. Bye. Bye.
Hey, welcome back to the Serial Chillers podcast. Alex and Joseph still chilling here with me. We're still, I don't know, I guess recovering, but it's not going to get better, I'm guessing, with Joseph's story or, go ahead, dude.
All right. Well, unfortunately, there isn't much storytelling for my story. It's kind of like, really no one wanted to go into detail on what happened because I feel like everyone was more into Ashton Kutcher because it's about his girlfriend.
Say what? What'd you say about Ashton Kutcher? Tell me more about Ashton Kutcher. What about Ashton Kutcher? What'd you say about Ashton
Exactly.
Kutcher?
That's what it was. Basically, it's like interview. How did you feel? And everything I would search on, it would just base Ashton Kutcher this, Ashton Kutcher that. When I just wanted to know about the murder.
You feel like it's a little more like tabloidy?
Yeah, exactly. Because it was when he was big around like that 70s show. So
Yo, bro,
everyone
he's
was-
still big, okay?
Well, I mean, that time he was on every week, you know.
I got you.
All right.
You're like my kid.
Someone else did a sound, so I had to follow it. All right. Okay. So this story is about Ashton Kutcher's girlfriend, Ashley Ellerin. And in 2001, Ashton was dating a 22-year-old girl named Ashley Ellerin. Ashley was an aspiring model, a part-time stripper, and a student.
Hanging out.
It was in 2001. That was the thing. All right. So on February 21st, 2001, Ashley called Ashton, asking him if he wanted to go on a date that night. And he said he was too busy and that he would check up on her later and see if they want to do something then.
I like that Sadie Hawkins style, though.
I just like how he like totally made it a booty call. He's like, no, not date.
He's
but
like, maybe later after my other date.
Later I'll come to your
After
house.
my other date
you
with
know.
Sally.
We can chill. We can chill later at the house. So later in the night, Ashton called her twice, and he was like, oh crap, she's mad. Let's go check up on her. So he drove to her apartment, and when he got there, he noticed that the apartment was all blacked out, but her car was still there. So he's like, oh shit, this is bad. She's mad at me. So he went to the door, started knocking, and yelled for her. When she didn't answer or open the door, he looked through a window and saw a red puddle, which he thought was red wine, so he figured she just got drunk because she was mad and crashed out.
Dang.
He was like, well,
She got all red wine faded, put a big old stain on the floor. Was like, I'm headed to bed. And
I don't need
Ashton.
you.
Kelso, fuck you, Kelso.
Burn.
So he was like, well, there's no reason for me to even try, so he left. Little did he know, she was chilling on the floor, dead, with 47 stab wounds.
Man,
So many stab wounds.
he probably felt so bad.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
Is
he
like,
probably felt
his booty
awful.
call just died on him, and he didn't even... That's what just sucks, is because it's him involved, no one, like, really specified on what happened, because all the interviews, they weren't like, oh, how did he get in? How did this? It was all, how did he feel? How is he doing?
Mm-hmm.
All of it was put on him, because at the time, he was Kelso, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he wasn't just Ashton Kutcher now. Like, he wasn't punked Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah.
He was big.
Yeah.
So no one really, like, reported on what happened, like the entry or anything like that. So little is actually known on the break-in, but around the time of, there was someone called the Hollywood Ripper, and he was labeled as a serial psycho sexual thrill killer. And what that means...
Seems very specific.
Yeah, what that means is he systematically slaughters women because he takes sexual pleasure for manipulating, stabbing, and killing his victims. So he just get off on
Dang.
killing women, basically.
Kind of sound like a little
torture.
tongue twister there almost.
Oh, it was.
Nailed
I got a
it,
little.
though, dude. Nailed it.
No, I did not. But I'll take a compliment. All right, so the Hollywood Ripper, his real name is Michael Gargulo, and his day job is repairing air conditionings, like machines and stuff like that.
A little
Active needs
HVAC
that.
repair.
He lived in Santa Monica, California, and he was linked to other murders, all women, obviously. And he was caught in 2008 because he attempted to murder number 10, but he didn't get through with it because, I don't know, he was off his game 7 years after the really famous one. And I feel like he might have had a resting period because Ashton was so big at the time that everyone was like, whoa, who did this?
This kind of blew up, and he was like, "Oh fuck, Ashton
Yeah.
Kutcher's girlfriend. I'm an idiot."
So at this moment, he was caught trying to kill someone. So he was linked to every single one of the 9 that were similar, because they were all found in like a sexual position, dead with stab wounds or missing limbs, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he was caught, and he was kind of like, everyone was like, okay, this is obviously the guy. But his trial kept getting pushed back. And at this moment, he's being held in LA County Jail. And his trial for the Ashton Kutcher one and all the other is October 2017, so that's coming up.
Oh, well.
And
Like,
Ashton Kutcher
Look at us
is-
being all topical.
I know.
It's
I
like
was,
a
I was
month and a
trying to
half.
say that. I was like, dude, everything's like coming
That's great.
recent. And Ashton Kutcher is going to be a main witness. But, I mean, he didn't really see anything. He thought it was red wine. He's
Well,
not.
maybe he did see something.
Well, no, because even with him, he saw it as, he thought she was just drunk and bottles broken on the floor. So he didn't even know it was murder until like the next day he got the call.
That sucks.
Yeah. And that's honestly everything that I've researched about it. People asking about Ashton. No one cares about Ashley.
Man, well, rest in peace, Ashley. We're very sorry that Ashton took the limelight. I'm sure you were
Yeah.
very nice.
And
And
she was a part-time stripper.
But she did go to school.
She was a student, yes.
Yep.
Part-time.
you get through school however you got to, and she was doing it legally, you know?
And she was an aspiring model, and she was very attractive.
Well, there you go. Well, we're sorry for your loss, and Ashton, I hope you guys nail this fucker. I know Ashton, that's why I just call him by a first name like that.
Yeah.
So, you guys, question number 10. We're just going to dive right back into it. You know how it gets broken down. This is the third segment, which means there's going to be some murder. Ugh. How many victims will Wesley Allan Dodd have when it's said and done? And when I say victims, I mean ones that die.
Oh.
He's had a lot of victims already.
Yeah,
Hundreds,
We
in
haven't
fact.
talked about this yet.
234.
No one's died yet.
Dang, okay.
It's a serial killer podcast, though, and
You gotta be
sadly,
a killer.
there will be enough to qualify him as serial. closest to the answer gets 500 points. Joseph, this could tie. Oh, no, you could be within 250. I'm sorry. Let me see how many. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah. Let's see how many questions we got here. There are 12, so there's still 2 questions after this. So, let me get back to my question here. Yeah, it's just a stab. Closest to the answer is going to get 500. Price is Right rules as before, only if you guys split the answer.
All right.
Alex has got his answer. So does Joseph.
Oh my god.
You guys were very close.
Oh my god.
Joseph's 12 will score him the 500 points.
There you go.
How many?
Wesley Allan Dodd kills 3 young men.
Dang. What is the rule for something to be a serial killer?
That's why I was going. I thought it was like
considered
9.
a serial killer.
It's
murder?
3, so it's 3 within.
I thought it
It's
was
usually
9.
within
I thought it was
a.
10.
It's within a geographic area, a certain small geographic area, and I believe that it is also non-family. Spree killings are not serial killings
I
because
think that's probably what it
so
Things that are the same, right?
right. So
Same
I
circumstance.
also am not an expert. I just do a podcast because I'm interested in true crime, and I also am pretty sure that it's open to interpretation in ways. So
It's like very subjective.
my understanding is 3,
Mm-hmm.
and they are usually in a smaller than large geographic area,
Gotcha.
and could be separated over decades.
Periods of time.
Yep. So he will eventually get 3.
What did that put us at?
250 difference.
750 to
That's pretty good.
1,000. So
Yeah, I'm coming
there's
back.
going to be 2 questions left. Joseph is
That was
within
good-
250.
Good move. there, buddy.
13, 12 were the guesses. Joseph's going to get the points with the guess of 12. So, excuse me, sorry. On September 4th, 1989, he's 28-year-old. He is peaking in the kind of like serial killer getting over the hump range. He packed a fish fillet knife bandaged to his ankle and shoestrings to tie up his victims. You guys know what a fillet knife is?
Mm-hmm.
It's a horrible, kind of fucking scary looking knife. He waited at the park but did not see any children without parents, so he decided to return home until the evening. Later that night, he returned to the park and paced restlessly up the path. After pacing for some time, he encountered 2 young boys, Billy Neer and Cole Neer, who were both 10 years old. I believe they're twins. It says they're both 10, and I guess it's possible to have a brother that you're the same age as for a little while, 9 months.
Yeah.
But they may have been twins. Anyway, Dodd told them to get off their bikes and, quote, "I want you to come with me." They did what he said and went down a hill with Dodd. Dodd stabbed Billy in the stomach and then attacked Cole as he jumped up, catching him in the side with his knife. Billy tried to run away, but Dodd caught up and stabbed him in the shoulder, and he would eventually die from the stomach wound. Later that day, right after the situation, the police came right before Billy died, but he did not. The police came right before he died, but he didn't live long enough to tell them what happened. After the murders of Billy and Cole, Wesley Allan Dodd now realized that rape and murder was not enough. He wanted to perform, quote, experimental surgeries on his victims. Late in October of '89, Dodd plotted his next attack. He decided that Saturday afternoons after work would be the best time to find a boy. On October 29th, '89, Lee Iselli was a 4-year-old that was picked up by Wesley Allan Dodd at the Richmond School playground. Lee's father let him and his older brother go to the park to play alone, and Dodd took Lee back to his apartment in Vancouver. On October 30th, I'm going to put a trigger warning at the beginning of this episode because it's already pretty gnarly, but this is the gnarliest of the gnarliest.
This is the worst part of this
This is the
episode.
worst part of the episode.
I'm glad to be a part of this.
Yeah. So
It's an honor.
The next day, after Wesley and Dodd gets Lee Izelli to his home, he strangles Lee to death while he's sleeping. He then hangs Lee in a tiny closet by a rope and proceeded to take pictures of him while he hung. Dodd dumped Lee's body at the pack paper plant and discarded him in a bush near the Vancouver Lake. So the paper plant sat really near the Vancouver Lake, so he just took him nearby and tucked him away into a bush. Sure. He burned all of Lee Izelli's clothing except for his Ghostbusters underwear. On November 1st, 1989, in the morning of this day, a pheasant hunter discovered Lee's body at Vancouver Lake. Dr. Ronald Turco prepared a psychological profile of the killer. So, we always hear these. I mean, if you listen to True Crime a lot, they're always so good.
Mm-hmm.
Listen to his profile.
And this is for not knowing too much about him.
This is from the we've seen 3 murders and they
Okay.
believe they're connected.
Gotcha.
He would be 25 to 35 years old, nailed it, and kicked out of the military if he served, nailed it. He would be a loner and probably kept photos of his victims, nailed it. A diary of his offenses, nailed it, including clipped articles and child pornography. We're going to find out later. Nailed it.
That's weird. That's pretty pretty spot on.
The killer probably chose boys because he saw girls as, quote, defective. Although his profile accurately described Dodd, it wasn't enough to conjure up a definitive suspect. Although this profile accurately described Dodd, welcome back to the ASMR podcast. Although this profile accurately described Dodd, it wasn't enough to conjure up a definitive suspect. Composite sketches were released, and hundreds of calls came in from people who thought they had seen Lee with someone, but there were no solid leads. Investigators attended Lee's funeral hoping to spot the killer, but Dodd stayed away. He was not down, Dodd. During the funeral, Dodd sat in his room alone with a diary and built a torture rack out of boards and ropes intended for his next victim. Yeah, we could probably make something happen out of that.
Oh, you're thinking of right now.
I can't stop crying.
It's a good time to cry.
So much.
All right. In November of 1989, Wesley Allan Dodd decided his best chance now to find a child would be at the movie theater. He checked the listings for a family movie, and after a few attempts, there was success, and he snags a boy from the bathroom, and he just kind of quickly walks out. And he assumed that, like, you know, you walk out with kind of a fussy kid, that someone's going to be like, oh, what an asshole that kid's being to his dad, you know? And so he starts walking out with this kid who's like, I don't know this guy. And one dude was like, what the hell? And he says, hey, like, call the cops.
Something's going on.
Yeah, something's going on. You need to call the cops. And he starts to follow Dodd. It works. They follow him. They catch him. The kid is fine. Dodd is captured and questioned and eventually confessed to the murders of Billy and Cole Neer and Lee Izelli. The most incriminating piece of evidence they find is a briefcase found under his bed, and it contained Lee Izelli's underwear, a photo album containing pictures of Lee Izelli alive and dead, assorted photographs of children in underwear, and children advertisements where kids are wearing underwear or pajamas, and his diary in which he details all of his murders.
These are the trophies that always get people.
Yeah.
And
So
it was underneath his bed?
in a briefcase, yeah. I had a
Underneath his
briefcase
bed.
with all of that stuff stashed away in it.
It's good that one dude followed, because it could easily be 4 instead of 3.
And
if
he
not
could
more.
still be going.
Yeah.
Right. So good ups on that guy. Name nowhere. I mean,
The unsung hero.
You
yeah,
go,
the
guy.
unsung hero. If I can find it between now and then, again, I will make
Plug
it
in.
happen. So Dodd is charged with first-degree murder of Billy and Cole Neer and Lee Izelli. He's also charged with attempted kidnapping at the New Liberty Theater for the boy he tried to snag and run with. He pleads not guilty. On January 28th, 1990, he changes his plea to guilty on all counts against his attorney's wishes. He reads a statement to the judge that indicted him on all charges and admitted all his crimes were premeditated. His defense did not call any witnesses, nor did they present any evidence. His attorney did try to argue that he was insane because no sane person would write an account such as Dodd did. All right. You guys ready? Hear what Wesley Allan Dodd's got to say. Jump, you got it.
What would be your intention if you're forced to live in prison?
Do everything I can to escape, and if necessary, kill prison guards on the way out. And I'll go right back to doing what I did before as soon as I hit the streets.
Which is what?
Kill kids.
Kill and rape kids.
Yes.
So you should be executed for the safety of others.
Yes.
The crimes of Wesley Dodd.
He looks gnarly.
Yeah, I was not expecting him to look like that.
Yeah, I wasn't picturing him to
I was
look like that.
expecting more of
either.
like a Jeffrey Dahmer type of like, you know, like hair, glasses type
He was
thing.
so like adamant to you, and like he had so much confidence in what he was saying.
Yeah.
That's really weird.
So that was his, essentially that statement we were just talking about. That was it right there. I mean, that was the beginning of it, but.
Yeah, I feel like I'd be sketchy with that guy with a kid who's yelling around.
Right.
It's crazy that only one dude was.
His defense, like I said, they didn't call any witnesses. They said he was insane because nobody would write that stuff down. So he's saying you guys need to kill me. Question number 11: what penalty will they give him? You guys, it's going to be a multiple choice only actually on this one. Sorry. So is it A, 50 to life? B, 3 life sentences? C, the death penalty? Or D, it was a mistrial?
Can you say them one more time?
50 to life, 3 life sentences, the death penalty, or a mistrial?
I forgot which one it was, but three.
That was
Alex says 50 to life. Joseph says 3 life sentences, both incorrect answers. He is going to get his wish. He is going to receive the death penalty. On July 15th, 1990, the jury says guilty and the judge says death penalty. So, Joseph, there is one question left.
How many points is it?
You are down by 250. This is perfect. How was Wesley Allan Dodd executed? It is 500 points if you get it. Joseph, if you get this right and Alex misses it, you will win the episode.
I got this.
Is this only stab?
This is stab only.
Shit, I don't got this.
For 500 points, question number 12, the last question. Joseph needs the answer correct. Alex needs to get it wrong. How was Wesley Allan Dodd executed? It is going to be set for 1993. January 5th, 1993, he will be executed.
Where did he get?
Washington.
Ooh.
Progressive state, man.
What is that called? I don't remember what it's called. Let's see.
Alex says lethal injection. Joseph said he gets the chair. Unfortunately, neither of those are correct.
Was he
Alex,
hung?
today's winner. Joseph, you're going to be so pissed off to hear that Wesley Allan Dodd was the first person since 1965 in the state of Washington to be hung from the gallows.
What?
That's why I didn't put hung, was because it was Washington.
I thought about that,
I'm
but
so
I was
stupid.
like, people don't do that. And like,
I was thinking the Green Mile for some reason, and I was like, the chair. Damn
Wow, that was so crazy. You should have gone with your gut, dude. Should have gone with your gut. You would have won today's Serial Chillers podcast.
And it would have been all tight.
Instead, it will be Alex. So congratulations, Alex, on your victory. You'll be leaving today with the Beer Savage package. Don't worry, Joseph. We have a consolation prize. You guys can thank Beer Savage for that.
Thank
hell
you,
yeah,
Beer
thank you,
Savage.
Beer
Yes,
Savage.
absolutely. Thank you, Beer Savage. Good things happen to those that channel their inner Beer Savage. So, congratulations on your win. Let's finish up with Wesley Allan Dodd. After being sentenced, he asked to be hung because he believed it was the most appropriate execution since he stated, quote, "That's the way Lee Iselli died." The judge agreed and set the execution date for January 5th, 1993, and on January 5th, 1993 at 12:05 a.m. They wasted no time. They're like, it's been January 5th for what, fucking 5 minutes? Let's hang this bitch. He is 32 years old. Wesley Allan Dodd is executed by hanging. He becomes the first to die in the gallows since 1965 in the state of Washington. We say goodbye to perhaps one of the biggest pieces of shit in all of history. So, thanks, Alex. Thank you, Joseph.
Guys. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you guys for kind of sitting through that with me. That was very rough, I know. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Beer Savage.
Thank you, Beer Savage.
And thanks for listening to episode 17 of the Serial Chillers podcast. Bye-bye.
Goodbye, everybody.
All right, you made it through episode 17 of the Serial Chillers podcast. That one was brutal. Congratulations goes to Alex on his second victory. He's going to be receiving the Beer Savage prize package. That again was the Beer Savage Hang It From Your Neck koozie. And he gets this awesome staff that he can fit a 6-pack in. Keep it cold all night and carry it around in style. Of course, remember to support Beer Savage on social media at Beer Savage. And use the promo code Serial Chillers on the website to get 20% off your entire purchase. For the record, during this episode, these guys answered the same exact answer on 1/3 of the questions. They were only correct on 25% of those. I hope that hearing me tell you this story is all you need to hear of it. I, for one, am glad that we got past it early on here. And he's dead, and we don't have to talk about him anymore, so that's good. Tell me what you guys think. I know this episode was a little bit more than we normally get into as far as how dark it may have been. You can reach me a lot of ways. On Facebook, it's just Serial Chillers Podcast. On Instagram, it's at Serial Chillers Podcast. The Twitter is at Chillers Podcast. Email here, serialchillerspodcast@gmail.com. You can call now, so there's a voicemail line. It is 1-805-666-2513. Also, serialchillerspodcast.com essentially is going to be the outline for the show, and at the bottom you can listen along. So check it out, and probably most importantly to us right now, the Patreon page. So patreon.com/serialchillerspodcast. You've probably heard the spiel here and many other of your favorite shows, but essentially you can give as little as $1 a month and really help the show out. And if this can become the primary thing we do, the quality of the show only goes up from here. So lastly, find me on Untapped. The beers we got into for this episode were just some Grapefruit Sculpin by Ballast Point and the return of the Dogfish Head Sequinch Ale. So essentially some leftovers. Research for this episode came from the Radford University timeline. As always, thank you Alicia Branch, Holly Bryan, Maria Giovenco, Nicole Nichols, and Elizabeth Yeats. We used Wikipedia and Murderpedia. On Murderpedia specifically, the articles were by Michael Newton, an Encyclopedia of Modern Serial Killers, and Shirley Lynn Scott, Wesley Allan Dodd, Diary of a Child Predator, and the documentary Most Evil. The music from the intro is Broken Glass and Potato Chips by Fred Gitstone and the Barney Rumbles. You can hear lots of other sounds like that from soundcloud.com/HellaGreg. The outro is also by Hella Greg. It's called I Saw Lights. Sorry again this ran so long, but if you're still listening, thank you so much. And as always, don't talk to strangers.